U.S. military carried out massive precision strikes on the 3 key nuclear facilities in the Iranian regime, Fordow, Natanz, and Esfahan. Everybody heard those names for years as they built this horribly destructive enterprise. Our objective was the destruction of Iran's nuclear enrichment capacity and a stop to the nuclear threat posed by the world's #1 state sponsor of terror. Tonight, I can report to the world that the strikes were a spectacular military success. Iran's key nuclear enrichment facilities have been completely and totally obliterated. Iran, the bully of the Middle East, must now make peace. If they do not, future attacks will be far greater and a lot easier. For 40 years, Iran has been saying death to America, death to Israel. They have been killing our people, blowing off their arms, blowing off their legs with roadside bombs. That was their specialty. We lost over 1,000 people, and hundreds of thousands throughout the Middle East and around the world have died as a direct result of their hate. In particular, so many were killed by their general, Qasem Soleimani. I decided a long time ago that I would not let this happen. It will not continue. I want to thank and congratulate Prime Minister Bibi Netanyahu. We worked as a team like perhaps no team has ever worked before. And we've gone a long way to erasing this horrible threat to Israel. I want to thank the Israeli military for the wonderful job they've done. And most importantly, I want to congratulate the great American patriots who flew those magnificent machines tonight, and all of the United States military on an operation the likes of which the world has not seen in many, many decades. Hopefully, we will no longer need their services in this capacity. I hope that's so. I also want to congratulate the chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, General Dan Raisin-Kane, spectacular general, and all of the brilliant military minds involved in this attack. With all of that being said, this cannot continue. There will be either peace or there will be tragedy for Iran far greater than we have witnessed over the last 8 days. Remember, there are many targets left. Tonight's was the most difficult of them all, by far, and perhaps the most lethal. But if peace does not come quickly, we will go after those other targets with precision, speed, and skill. Most of them can be taken out in a matter of minutes. There's no military in the world that could have done what we did tonight, not even close. There has never been a military that could do what took place just a little while ago. Tomorrow, General Kane, Secretary of Defense, Pete Hegseth will have a press conference at 8 a.m. at the Pentagon. And I want to just thank everybody, and in particular, God. I want to just say, we love you, God, and we love our great military. Protect them. God bless the Middle East. God bless Israel, and God bless America. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you, God, for helping us kill all these people.
I think they just went after the nuclear facilities. So I don't think there were like collateral damage on that.
There you have it, President Trump.
That was surprisingly brief. I was shocked by that. We've got 3 minutes left. Like we got 27 minutes to kill. Good night. I guess we're gonna argue.
Yeah. Let's do it.
Oh man.
What are we arguing about?
The objective morality behind this operation.
Yeah.
So what
Is
exactly?
it good to kill, Gary? Is it good to kill?
Have you read The Good Left Arm?
No.
Ehud.
It's
Judges.
a simple question. It's yes or no.
In certain circumstances, yes.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I'll let you sit in that.
What do you mean let me sit on that?
That it's good to kill.
Okay. Yeah, it is. Like if somebody does something bad,
Great.
you kill them back.
Kill them. Yeah.
So
what did Iran do?
Well, Iran funded October 7th. Okay, first of all, let's take a step back here. We need to What do you think, Trevor? Because I've already like fumed on this with you. Do you think we should do the Tucker and Carlson thing first and then come back to this, or do you think we should have this debate first and then go to the Tucker Carlson Ted Cruz thing?
Well, I mean, this is a little more fresh, and we did just watch the live stream.
Okay,
of it.
so we want to have our initial debate first, right? Is that what we're doing?
I mean, it would make more sense.
Okay, all right, then let's do it. Okay, so Cody, you go first.
I mean, I know nothing about this. I'm just like, I'm going off what he just said. I think it's ridiculous that we're killing over, they have nukes. Like, this is the same story as Afghanistan, the weapons of mass destruction. It's all bullshit all the way across the table. Trump initially said no new wars, right?
Mm-hmm.
So what the fuck is he doing?
Lying.
I don't think he said no new wars. And to be in
Yeah,
Trump's
that was literally a party line he used.
Did he use that word? Well, I will say, you might be right, but I will say this. He did make it very clear that if Iran ever did try to get a nuclear weapon, he would do this. Like, that was a clear red line for him since 2015. So this isn't a new position. It's not like he changed his mind on Iran. Now, I guess we just have to talk about the politics and bleed into the faith thing. From a political standpoint, I've been torn because on the one hand, I have my religious sentiments that believe we should go after, like we should protect Israel. On the other hand, I think it's pretty obvious the deep state has been setting this up as a trap, and they've really wanted a war to kind of throw off Trump's domestic policy. Like, if it ended tonight with these strikes on these nuclear facilities, it probably wouldn't be that big a deal. But what do you think the chances are that it's going to end tonight?
There's zero chance.
Yeah, we're probably going to end up going in there, and this is probably going to kill a lot of time, and it's going to rip the MAGA base in half. There's a lot of negative consequences to this. So I've been
continuation of Iraq, dude.
Exact. Well, it's the same plan. It's like the continuation of that whole strategy that Bush started. They've been trying to get this done for years, and this is just more of the same. Basically, the deep state got its way. They've been pushing this for forever, and I don't think there's any doubt about that. So I'm torn between my absolute contempt for the deep state, but I do feel like we have an obligation to protect Israel. And
who's Israel? Like, your loyalty to Israel comes from the Bible, right?
Correct.
Okay, so who's Israel?
Well,
the Orthodox Church believes it's you and me.
Yeah, see, I don't believe
country that was established in 1950.
It's used in different contexts, and so the question is, what is Israel within the context of the Abrahamic covenant? Because Paul would say not everyone of Israel is from Israel. Now, that would be using Israel in the context of the Jeremiah 31 covenant, right? So that in that case, we as Gentiles have been grafted into a Jewish covenant. So the covenant, like Israel, I understand that the Orthodox believe that. In my opinion, I think they're wrong. I don't think Israel is the church. I don't think that's correct. From Paul's standpoint, the Gentiles are being grafted into a covenant that was meant for the Jews originally. And so the way that you would understand that analogy is basically we're like foreign nationals or like an immigrant into Israel, as it were. So we're like immigrants into this covenant. We're being grafted in. So we're not actually Israel. We share in a covenant that's meant to benefit the whole world, but that covenant was originally meant for the Jewish people. So it's not like Israel has ceased to exist. The Abrahamic covenant is still in play. The Jeremiah 31 covenant did not negate the Abrahamic covenant. It negated at least the sacrificial system, the sacrificial aspect of the Levitical covenant, but it didn't get rid of the Abrahamic covenant. And so the idea that all nations are going to be blessed through you, I would argue, still applies because the Abrahamic covenant is still in effect. That would be my position, very broadly speaking. So
it's so broad, I don't know what you're saying.
I know you'd have to be like into the whole theology and understanding covenants and stuff, and it's a back and forth, and people have different positions and all the rest of it.
Do you think this country that was established in 1950, you think these people that look like Ukrainians that got kicked out of Ukraine with the big noses and the little bald spots, you think those people are the chosen people of God? And we're all grafted into their little group.
If you mean, do I think the nation of Israel is like the nation as a corporate body is Israel? No. But I do think that the people there are Israel. The people with the bald spots and the big noses, as you described them, yeah, I do think that they are the people of Israel. I do think the Jews still exist, and I do think those people are Jews. I don't subscribe to this whole false synagogue thing. I've heard about it in passing. I'll admit I don't really, or what do they call it, the synagogue of Satan. That was the conspiracy theory. Yeah, I've heard it. I don't buy it. But I'll admit I'm vague. I'm not super familiar with it. So if you know more about how that theory works, like, could you explain, like, what's the idea behind the synagogue of Satan thing?
So I don't know. You brought that up.
Well, you acted like you knew what I was talking about. I think I've heard Bill Schneblin and I think Owen Benjamin mention it, but I'm not super familiar with it. And to be blunt, I don't really buy it. But but I mean, I could be whooped in that debate potentially because I'm unfamiliar with the concept broadly. I just kind of have heard of it in passing. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Yeah. So.
I don't know. I don't want to be mean, but like historically, they've been kicked. This group of people has been kicked out of every country that they inhabit. I mean, like over and over and over and over. And
but what are you inferring from that?
There is an argument that if they were the chosen people of God, it would make sense because when you feel like you're the special boy and you're chosen by God, you feel like you can do whatever the hell you want, and so you end up upending every country that you inhabit because you're the special boy and you can do no wrong. So there's no conscience there, so to speak. I mean, I could empathize them in that way, but I'm not going to make claims that these are the chosen people of God, period. Like I find that ridiculous. And the fact that we're killing people for them because they're afraid of nukes, which may or not be real. I'm just like, no, that's stupid. This is like the ultimate form of defensiveness.
Yeah.
Like, you ever been in an argument with your wife and you get defensive and you're like, I just trying to. That's what they're doing.
I never get defensive because I'm always right. No, I have a different take than you, obviously. Let me put it to you like this. I always think back to the Black Plague.
Okay.
I think this is a lot of conjecture on my part, but broadly speaking, the history is correct. So during the Black Plague, obviously people were dying en masse, except the Jewish community. And these people, because they did not understand germ theory, assumed that the Jews were poisoning the well because they were the only ones surviving. And this actually led to a genocide of the Jews around the time of the Black Plague. Now, it turns out that wasn't the case. The Jews were the only ones taking baths because Europeans were filthy. Now, if you have a plague that is spreading through an area that's wiping out a quarter of your population, I believe it was a quarter of Europe that got wiped out. But you have a concentrated group of people that didn't get wiped out because they actually took baths because of their rituals and their beliefs in the law, then a couple things are going to happen. Number one, the Europeans are going to resent the crap out of you because you lived and their neighbors died. Number two, the government system's going to, fall apart. And so that family that survives is going to naturally be more prosperous because their lineage gets to keep their stuff, and they probably are able to accumulate more stuff because everybody else's lineages are wiped out. And so I think you see systems like that where the Jewish people, because who knew God is actually real, they were following laws and protocols out of faith, even though they didn't understand the context around it, and they wound up surviving things that wiped out other people. And they've always been routinely more successful than the people around them, and people start getting jealous and run them off.
Because they use the people around them.
No, it's because
they don't do labor.
No, it's because basically people... It's not that simple. Like, look, if you are the only one with money in a community and somebody else wants to start a farm, but they don't have the resources, they're going to come to you because you're the only one with money in the community because everybody else died, right? So you're going to sit there and loan those people money. They eventually became the banks because of that process, but that's not because they're like nefarious and evil. A bank is not inherently bad.
You trust the banks?
No, not right now, but that's not because they're ran by Jews or something. It's because things and institutions and things like that, they get corrupt over time. That happens everywhere, constantly.
Right.
There's nothing inherently special about that process. But these people were wealthier than the people around them because they survived a plague that literally destroyed the feudal system. Like the entire government system in the entire world. Well, you were talking. No, I'm addressing your first argument. The first part of your argument was these people are kicked out of every country they're in because of some misplaced arrogance. I say, no, you're wrong. They were the ones that survived a lot of tragedies. They have routinely been more successful because they follow their law. They have inheritance. There are aspects of their law that actually, like, for example, crop rotation, like rotating your field, not using your fields over and over again until there's nothing freaking left. That's part of the Levitical law. So if you follow that, you're going to be a better farmer than the stupid pagans that use their soil until there's nothing left and create like a dust bowl. So these people have always had, like, their law has been effective because God made it. And so they've always been more successful than the people around them because they've actually listened to it most of the time. And so people get jealous of that and eventually run them off. You're seeing that with situations other than the Jewish people now. South Africa is the same thing. Those farmers went in there and resurrected a bunch of dead land. And then basically the people that were like the pagan tribes that had no concept of property saw how prosperous the Dutch farmers were. And they said, we want that. Well, it was the same thing with the Jewish people in Israel, specifically back in the 1870s. There's a book, The Israel Test by George Gilder, explains this. So in I believe it was the 1870s when the Zionists came down, they actually revitalized that land. At the time, the average population of an Arabic person in that area was like 30, because they were constantly going to war and killing each other. Well, the Jews got kicked out of the European countries. They came down. They practiced good farming. They basically resurrected that land. All of a sudden, the populations of the Arabs starts to stabilize, and then all of a sudden, all these other people come in and they repopulate that region because basically the Zionists had come in and fixed it. Essentially, I'm being overly simplistic, but you get the idea. Mm-hmm. Well, of course, what happens is over time, the people who are living in that prosperous land but haven't necessarily worked for everything go, we want that. And you see it over and over and over again. People who are displaced but have good disciplined practices will come in, fix up an area, and then the people who tore that land up before them will go, we want that. What happened in Israel is no different than what's happening in South Africa. It's the same crap over and over and over again.
I see that.
So I don't think it's their arrogance or whatever. It's because populations.
We should go in there and nuke all the blacks. Is that what you're saying?
Have they built nukes that you're aware of?
No, I don't believe in nukes. I think they're fake.
I know, and I don't even know how to begin because I don't agree with you. But I mean, how are we even supposed to have that argument?
Same thing from Iraq.
Now that's a valid point. The deep states lied in the past, so the question is, do they even really have nukes? Like, I think that's fair. I'm not gonna go to the extreme of nukes aren't real, but I think you are right to suggest that the deep state might be exaggerating the situation, and so
We need a story.
Mm-hmm. No, you're right about that. Hence my own moral conundrum. But I will say that I think genocide is wrong, and I think we have an obligation to stop genocide if we can. And the Iranians have been screaming genocide against the Jews for 40 years. And so
allegedly, I don't speak Arabic.
I've listened to the tapes. They're screaming death to America over and over and over again in every language you could possibly want.
That's because we're horrible. We act like the world police. We go steal opium and oil and all that shit.
But why would you want to? Why would you want to kill an entire nation? I don't want to kill every Iranian.
Well,
I don't want to kill every Persian.
We consistently go over there and disrupt their industry.
That doesn't mean you should sit there and say an entire nation should die. I mean, I understand. Why? I think I understand what you're saying, and that these things, this political situation didn't happen in a void. I think I understand what you're getting at from that perspective. But they have still threatened to kill people, and it's not really that big a deal to us because, like, good luck trying to kill us. We're on the other side of the ocean. But it
Right,
is a
I'm
big
not
deal.
afraid.
Yeah, you're not worried. I'm not worried. But Israel has good cause to be worried. Iran's much bigger and much closer. And so if they ask for help, I
Well, they're
take
the
that.
chosen people, so God will protect them. Right?
Well, whether you think that, I mean, I think
So
that
are
obviously,
we
but
being the hand of God?
well, I don't.
America is the long arm of God because Israel said so.
This is my moral conundrum. I don't know if it's God's will for us to help Israel or not. That's what I think, but I was torn, at least at the beginning of the week. So I don't know. That's what I believe because of the scripture. But putting that aside for a second, I don't think this situation is comparable because A, Israel has asked for our help. And I think if we can help them, we should. Because, look, we do benefit from our relationship with Israel. Tel Aviv is a tech hub. We test out our weapons systems with them, whether you like that or not. There is a mutual relationship between our countries. We are allies, and that relationship is not entirely one-sided. So, there is good reason to help them.
Has there, and I'm asking this as an honest question, has there ever been a time when Israel helped us?
Yeah, they give us intelligence information.
About who?
About like other countries in the Middle East.
Oil.
Yeah, you could say that we have bad reasons for it, but you asked, are they helping us? And I'm like,
They're
well,
not
yeah,
helping us.
the intelligence communities are helping each other.
They're helping us be awful. When
And
have
look,
you-
listen, if
when
we
have you
actually
trusted
get
the CIA, bro?
we actually get the gold dome up, it will be Israel's technology that helps us get it up. Like Trump's whole idea about the golden dome or whatever, that's based on Israel's tech. It was Israel's idea. We may have sent them like those parts that they used, but it was their concept. They built the Iron Dome. And they are lending us that technology, the chip technology. Like, that's what I mean by the technology in Tel Aviv. That's a hub. That's something we use. So it's not a completely one-sided relationship. From what I understand about it anyway. My big concern and hesitation is the deep state clearly wants this war, and the deep state never wants anything good. And I believe that it's good to prevent genocide. The deep state doesn't care one way or the other.
Prevent genocide by committing genocide?
You
prevent genocide by killing a bunch of people?
I don't think attacking nuclear facilities, again, if they had them, is actually genocide. Like if our country
This is 1984.
if they are committing genocide, they're not telling us about it. They're not declaring it openly. So
Oh, you mean like Palestine, bro?
that was not genocide. That's nonsense.
Okay.
That was not genocide. That's complete nonsense. Genocide is the express targeting of a people group simply because of their race and killing them en masse because of their race. That is not what happened in Gaza.
Indeed.
That is not what happened in Gaza at all. Those people had been using those hospitals and those schools and those work camps as basically human shields for their tunnel systems for years. They'd been complaining about it.
Hamas is an intelligence group.
That I
created by
don't know. I know
Israel.
Alex Jones has said that ad nauseum. I have never heard the evidence for that or the story behind it. So if you're aware of the
Ron-
details behind that, please fill me in because I am completely ignorant as to why people say that.
What's his name? Ron. He's an old politician, old dude.
Ron Paul?
Something. Yeah.
Okay.
He talks about it, that Hamas was created by Israel in the 80s. Like, he was there.
Okay, I know they say that, but why does he say that? What's his evidence? Like, what's the story? Like, what happened?
I can't repeat it. I don't know.
Yeah, see, I can't make up my mind as to whether or not I believe that until I actually hear the story. Like, Alex Jones also says Israel caused 9/11. He's made that assertion like a million times. And I'm like, dude, I can't evaluate what you're saying until you tell me the story, and I have something to look up and check. Like, people can throw accusations out, but I need details.
Yeah.
I mean, I need something. I'm not saying they're lying. I just don't know anything about it.
I mean, I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know. You got me. I just think any group that wants to perpetuate a war is they're part of the industrial complex.
Well, Iran wants to perpetuate war. It's not like Iran's going, oh, please don't bomb us. Oh, no, we beg you. They're going, bring it on. We could take you. Do it.
I don't
Do
know.
it. You won't do it. You're scared.
I mean, if I were the leader of a country, I would be like, I'm not worried about anyone else until they come to my side of the fence, and then I'll kill them.
That's not
but,
Iran, though.
like, stay out of my house.
In fact, I'll take it a step further. Now, this is some conjecture on my part, but I do think this is right. And I'll start with a story to demonstrate my point. When I was living in Seattle, I saw one apartment complex. There might have been two. I might have heard of a second one in passing, but they were burned. They were burned to the ground. And these attacks on these apartment complexes were blamed on economic terrorists. Economic terrorists had burned these apartments to the ground. In my humble opinion, they were not economic terrorists. Now maybe the guy who lit the match might have been an economic terrorist, but the person who funded the attack, the person who told the terrorists where to be, was somebody from the apartment industry up there in Seattle, because what they would do to set those rent rates is they wouldn't let any competition. And so every time a new apartment complex got built, they'd burn it down. They wouldn't let any new infrastructure be built so they could set the rates. Now, this may not be this is one of the reasons why the new atheists were so wrong about everything, because terrorism, even religious terrorism, is a pretense. Those foot soldiers might believe it, but I guarantee you the people in charge do not believe it. Terrorism is an economic weapon that they use to control the region. Why do you think the Houthis are going after a canal instead of Israel? It's because whoever their boss is has told them to go after that canal because that's where the energy is getting shipped from. That's where they're getting the oil, like they're attacking the oil vessels. So why do you think, like, what was it, Dubai? They were playing in a marching band, YMCA for Trump. Why do you think Dubai gave them a plane? It's because not just Israel, but everybody in that area saw, even if Trump didn't say anything, saw a passive and illicit promise that Trump was going to do something about Iran. Because Iran has been bullying everybody with terrorism. That's why they're funding a bunch of these terrorist organizations. Not just to control Israel, although they'll use it as the rallying cry for their foot soldiers, but to control the entire region. It's an economic weapon. And I guarantee you that those countries that did those trade deals with Trump, like, I don't think it's a coincidence that Trump did this big Middle Eastern tour right before doing this. I think this is part of the trade deal. I think Trump was basically like, we're going to deal with Iran and we're going to stabilize the region. Because why do you think Obama gave Iran billions of dollars? So Iran could fund the terrorists and continue to destabilize the region. Because the way that the deep state and these governments work is they destabilize these smaller countries and then they raid them of their resources. And they use the religion as an excuse. And so what
we're doing.
No, what Trump is doing is he's taking out the major hub for the terrorist funding, and in so doing, stabilizing the other regions, hopefully, if it works. But the theory is
they're just going to keep doing it.
If they don't go after the deep state, because that's what I think Trump is missing. I think Trump is not wanting to admit that the CIA and the FBI and the NSA and probably Mossad and MI6, all of them, are destabilizing that part of the world for the oil so they can get their companies in there to take the oil. That way, Saudi Arabia or whoever doesn't get to build their own oil company and start, making money themselves. They keep blowing things up and keeping things chaotic down there so that our companies can continue to make money. They keep everybody else poor so we can stay rich. The system is vampiric. Trump is trying something else. He's trying to stabilize the region to make better trade deals, because the idea behind this economic theory is a rising tide raises all ships. If they're more stable, it's easier to get our energy out. And so this is basically, if you get rid of Iran, or at least get rid of their threat of nuclear weapons, because it's the terrorism stuff and hey, we might have a bomb and we can't shoot the United States, but we can shoot you. If you get rid of the big bully, the big dog in the area that the United States CIA has been funding for 40 years, then you can stabilize the region. That's what I think this is really about. Israel's a part of it, and Israel has a right to be scared, but that's not the only aspect of this. I think there's an economic trade deal going on as well. Because there's
we're causing our own battle here. Like, we're fighting ourselves.
Because governments and the deep state are Machiavellian, and they believe in keeping other countries poor and destabilizing the region. They consolidate power by keeping everybody, other countries, and us on the back foot. They go, you need us, you need us. They create problems so they can continuously scream, you need us.
I'm just like, why wouldn't we defund these programs at the CIA? Like the CIA is funding this, right?
Yeah, that's why I'm furious with Trump. That's why I'm not happy
Okay.
with the administration, because they won't go after the deep state. They won't go after
Right.
the CIA. They won't go after
So they
the
have to
FBI.
perpetuate a war.
I think Trump has been. I think that they believe that they will basically be able to create this trade deal, but if they don't get rid of the CIA, you're right, it's going to fail.
Yeah.
It's going to collapse.
They're not.
and it's
they're
not
not
going to
going
work.
after the root.
Exactly. Exactly.
They're like, it's like this tree is a problem, so I'm going to cut some limbs off. But
You're
I'm not
exactly
gonna-
right. That's the problem with this.
So this is stupid. We're just killing people for no reason. We're still funding this. This is a forever war, just like in 1984.
Yeah,
And it's just going to perpetuate.
I think if they
Wrong
don't
move.
deal with if they don't deal with the CIA, you're right. You're absolutely right, because it's these Machiavellians. It's not the elected officials doing this. It's the deep state. It's the CIA people that are creating these situations. In fact, I guarantee you it's these people. Like, if you'll remember, they blamed Iran for the assassination of Trump a year ago. Ted Cruz was appealing to that in his interview of Tucker Carlson.
Yeah.
I guarantee you that not only has the CIA bubble-wrapped Trump, but they bubble-wrapped the Congress, and they prepped the Congress to believe that before they ever took a shot at Trump. But not only that, I think there's some CIA operative going to Trump going, this is going to be your legacy. The people of Iran are going to build a statue to you. If you get rid of the mullahs, they're going to love you because you're a liberator. And then they're going to Netanyahu and going, you need to get rid of Iran. They've got nukes. They're so close. They're going to wipe your people out. And then they're going to Iran and going, they said you tried to kill Trump. You didn't try to kill Trump. They're only saying that because they mean to attack you. And they're pitting the three against each other. It's like the sum of all fears from Tom Clancy. It's the same thing.
Yeah.
And until they get after the deep state, this isn't going to accomplish anything.
But who is the deep state?
CIA, NSA, FBI,
Israel.
and the oligarchs. No, not Israel. Netanyahu has been bubble wrapped the same way Trump has been bubble wrapped. That's why I think Alex Jones is wrong. I think these guys are wrong because the deep state isn't Israel. It's literally these career politicians, or not even politicians, career bureaucrats that have buried themselves in this giant labyrinth of departments. And it's going to be almost impossible to even dig them out, which is why I'm so furious with Bongino and Cash, because they're like, well, we just need to get rid of a few bad actors. Trying to clean this up that way is like trying to dissect an elephant with a scalpel. It's never going to happen.
Yeah.
So we have to abolish the CIA. We have to abolish the FBI. We have to abolish the NSA. If Israel was smart, they would abolish Mossad. And if Britain was smart, they'd abolish MI6. They'll never do that, but that's what needs to happen before this gets any better.
Yeah. But instead of doing that, we're just going to bomb the shit out of everybody.
Yeah.
And pretend like we're God.
Yeah, so this is my frustration, because I think the Tucker Carlsons and Steve Bannons of the world are right in that this is the deep state doing it, and we have to deal with them, and we have to prioritize dealing with them. But at the same time, I'm like, I do feel like we have an obligation to help Israel. So I am torn. This is my conundrum.
Well, I don't know. I feel like your obligation to help Israel is unfounded. That's just my opinion.
I understand. I know. And we can keep going back and forth all night if we wanted to, but
I don't think we need to.
No, I think
we agree pretty much.
I think we've explored it. Trevor, you got any thoughts?
Negative.
Negative? All right. Well, now that we've, I think kind of I don't think we need to go into a full debate and keep going back and forth. I think we've kind of done the 3,000-foot view, don't you think, Cody?
Yeah.
Yeah. So, okay. I guess since we're here, we'll go ahead and, did I pull up that Tucker Carlson, Ted Cruz interview? I did not. Hang on a minute. Let me pull it up.
4 T's and a B.
4 T's and a B. So,
Stupid.
Before the 3 T's.
yeah. 3 T's, 4 T's, 7 T's, who knows?
Let's go, Brandon.
Carlson and Ted Cruz. All right. Excuse me. Oh, hey, just a sec.
Okay.
Hello, did you
hey.
bring me coffee?
Ooh,
I love you. Thank you. You just, pour it.
Hello.
Great.
Amazing.
Sorry, the headphones on. She can't hear you guys. Thank you. You can just say that
Coffee
anywhere.
break.
I appreciate it.
Joe, I said hi.
Sorry. That's great. Thank you.
No, he doesn't have his headphones on.
All right.
Oh, my coffee's cold. I'm jealous.
I know, right? So,
My coffee's fire.
Ha!
noise. All right. So I want to make some points about Tucker Carlson and Ted Cruz. I was annoyed at this because I felt like Tucker Carlson participated, to put it kindly, he participated in gotcha journalism. I don't think these questions were fair.
Wait,
That's not to say I agree with Ted Cruz
this
on
an-
everything, but
is this a new segment?
no, this kind of bleeds into the Iran thing. This is what we're going to talk about.
Okay.
My original plan was to talk about this for like 5 minutes and then go into Trump's speech because I thought it was going to be like 20. And then Trump talked for like 3 minutes and it kind of nuked my plan.
Isn't that funny? He said, this was the best attack that's ever happened.
Did he really?
hilarious.
I missed that.
Yeah, he was like, he's like, with absolute precision. No one's ever done an attack better than this.
Yeah. It's
Did you get that from The Simpsons?
No, Trump says that kind of shit. All
yeah,
the
it's
time.
yeah, it's just his nomenclature.
Yeah. He's like, I have the best pants in the world, made by the best seamstress, the pants seamstress.
The pants seamstress. Oh my goodness. So I don't know if I can find it on the
Especially
spot,
for you.
but good night, guys.
Senator, thank you.
So I don't know how to do this because I've been trying to focus on a way to articulate my opinion while staying calm and gentlemanly. I don't know if I'm going to be able to do it. I'm going to try. But I want to preface this by saying
Just
When
remember
I-
to keep breathing.
yeah, Musfaba. When I first watched this, I guess I would be leaning more towards bombing Iran now, but when I first started watching this, I was like, dude, I don't know. For the reasons I just described. You know, on the one hand, I have a Ted Cruz's religious opinion about Israel. On the other, I'm like, the deep state wants this, and we're stepping on a landmine. So I was like, I don't know what the right thing to do is here. By the time by the end of this, I was like, we need to bomb Iran. We just need to bomb Iran, which is not a good attitude. I should stress that it is a character flaw when you get so angry at a reporter you want to bomb a country. That is not an admirable quality. So we shouldn't encourage that sort of emotional impulse, but that was where I was emotionally. So I've been trying to find a way to say my opinions in a gentlemanly manner, but there's a couple things that I just want to really hound on that I don't think are helpful. And since this is kind of a faith-oriented subject, we need to talk about Ted Cruz's response as to why he believes we should support Israel, and it's a biblical appeal. So I'm going to try to find these quotes really quick. Cody, do you have anything to say while I'm looking for sound bites?
No, I don't think so. Just that, did you know Tucker Carlson was brought up in a densely CIA populated neighborhood?
Yeah, I think he's mentioned that before, yeah. So,
Just want to throw that in there real quick.
So are you not a fan of Tucker Carlson then?
I don't like anybody on TV really.
Okay. So let me start with this and then we'll end with the Bible subject. I want to really hit this AIPAC thing.
What is AIPAC?
It's a lobbying country for, it's a lobbying group for Israel, like people who believe we should protect Israel. There's a coalition called, I don't know if that's the right word, but, you know, a group called AIPAC that funds politicians who also want to support Israel.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah. So this
Are your
was,
subtitles in Russian?
in
They're
this
in a
one it
different
is.
language.
They are in, I think that is that Russian?
Yeah, it's Russian.
I don't want to say yes because then someone's going to go, you're stupid. That's Bulgarian, idiot.
Right.
So, all right, so let's play this really quick,
You're playing Russian roulette.
I guess.
Question: Israel spies on us. Well, so does every other country. Why are you mad at Israel?
I guess. Oh no. I'm hardly the one who's. I've never taken money from the Israel lobby.
Let's go.
30 billion, 300 billion.
So can you elaborate? And again, I'm going into this as someone who's always liked Israel and still does. But I also think at this point, given where we are, it's fair to ask rational questions about what the benefits are.
Good.
So does Mossad share all of its intelligence with us?
Oh, probably not, but they share a lot. We don't share all of our intelligence with them, but we share a lot. It's a close alliance.
Do they spy domestically in the United States?
Oh, they probably do, and we do as well. And friends and allies spy on each other. And I assume all of our allies spy on us.
And that's okay with you?
You know what? One of the things about being a conservative is that you're not naive and utopian. You don't think humans are all... Part of the reason socialism doesn't work is the mantra from each according to his abilities to each according to his needs doesn't work. As a conservative, I assume people act in their rational self-interest.
So it's conservative to pay people to spy on you?
It's conservative to recognize that human beings act in their own self-interest, and every one of our friends spies on us, and I'm not...
Do you like it? That's my question. I'm not asking whether they have motive to do it. Of course they do. I understand that, and
by the way,
I'm not mad at them. But
Do you like it? I'm
That's
sorry.
a good question.
I find that a completely disingenuous question.
I love it.
Listen, if you think you can create a world where countries, even allies, don't spy on each other, you might as well just ban crime while you're at it. I mean, that is completely unrealistic. Everybody spies on everybody. No, I'm sure Ted Cruz does not like that. Nobody likes it. But you would be stupid to think that isn't happening with everybody. So
I want to answer the question.
He did answer the question. He's like, I'm sure they do. And I'm
Right,
okay with
do you
that
like
because I accept reality.
Right, but do you like it?
Well, if you'll notice, if we go on, Tucker Carlson isn't going to give him the chance to answer the question. He's just going to keep gerrymandering, or is that right? Filibustering. I think that's what it is.
Filibustering.
Yeah.
you're an American lawmaker, so I just
but
want to
Tucker,
know. Hold on, I want to know your attitude. You said that your guiding principle, in fact, the only principle, the only criterion,
I said guiding, the overwhelming. I wouldn't say only.
is it in America's interest? Is it in America's interest for Israel to spy on us, including on the president?
It is an American...
It's an easy question.
That's a stupid question. Like, guys,
no,
these
that's
are
a
like
question that I would ask.
sleazy questions. Okay, they're sleazy questions.
Nah.
They're sleazy questions because it's like,
They're simple.
oh, is it good for
Oh,
Israel
you're
to
just avoiding all
spy?
the nuance.
Yeah, because everybody spies on everybody. Do you want to literally
it's
not
good.
have any allies ever because you're mad that people spy on you?
Eye for an eye makes the whole world blind, bud.
No, that's why. How does that make your point? That makes my point. You tolerate a certain degree of stupidity because you understand people are people and they can't control everything.
No, when you find spies, you kill them, and you don't make deals with that country again. You say, get
Then
the
you
fuck out of
wouldn't
my
have
country.
any allies ever.
Okay, we're the biggest freaking country in the world. Who cares?
You don't get
We
to
got
be
big
the
boy
biggest
pants.
freaking country in the world if you kick away every country that spies on you. You don't even get to the top. What, you think America would have had the French's help if we'd like arrested every French spy?
The French suck at battles, so I don't care.
They didn't back in the day. They whooped the British.
That's because they all stood in fields and shot at each other.
I
in
didn't
open
say the
fields.
British were
They're
smart.
morons.
I'm saying back in the day, there was a time. Napoleon
America
wiped
has
out all
always
the
been
good
behind
French
trees.
armymen. But anyway, that's a whole other thing. He wiped them all out by going into Russia, by the way, which we'll probably get to
We're
here in a minute.
awesome, and everybody else sucks.
That is
So maybe we should just not tolerate everybody's bullshit.
so have no allies ever.
Sure.
That's
That's
insane.
how you have God as an ally.
Are you going to ban crime too?
Yeah.
That's not realistic. That's my point. It's just silly to sit there and act indignant because people spy on each other. Now, there is a difference. I will say this. There is a difference between spying, as in trying to collect information in secret, and spying, as in extortion and blackmail and setting up kiddie trafficking rings to entrap politicians. That is a whole other different animal, and everybody in our government that's pulling that crap should be hung. But that's not how traditional spy craft actually worked. You went in there, you pretended to be the other guy, you tried to get information. You didn't always have to resort to honeypotting and all this crap. That's not... You don't have to go that far with it, but it's unreasonable to sit there and say you can't have any kind of spying at all, ever.
You don't think it's a downward spiral that eventually gets to that point?
Very possibly,
Always?
but that's where you get into religion and moral ethoses and why you have the fight in the first place. That's why you have the fight over
Right, that's what I'm
ideals rather
saying.
than national identity. But that's a whole other topic. The point is, there is going to be spying no matter what you do. So it's silly to sit there and get indignant over a hypothetical. Like, they're not even talking about a specific situation where Israel was caught spying on us. Ted Cruz was going, I don't know, probably. And then Tucker Carlson got all indignant, like, oh, you don't know? And that doesn't bother you? It's like, no, dummy, because why would it? I mean, every country spies on everybody all the time. And if you catch them, yeah, you throw them in jail. But you'd be stupid to think that you catch all of them. Like, that's just not realistic.
I just think it's, I don't know.
Okay, well, I've yelled
What
enough.
would you
I'm
say
sorry.
if
I'm
I
getting
told
riled
you-
up and my blood pressure's getting high. I'm acting like a child. I apologize. So, yes, Trevor,
Oh. Huh?
were you going to say something?
I could.
Please do.
What would you say if I told you I was spying on both of you right now?
I just assumed you were doing it anyway.
Oh, okay.
Okay. Moving on.
I thought you were an ally.
Yeah, weren't you our friend?
Dun, dun, dun.
America's interest to be closely allied with Israel because we get huge benefits for it. And you want to see the clearest.
But I just want to stop on the spying for a second. That it takes place, as you know, and including on the president of the United States and several precedents. And I just want to know if that's okay and why is it okay? Wouldn't an American lawmaker say to a client state, you're not allowed to spy on us? I'm sorry. I know why you want to. I'm not mad at you, but you're not allowed to.
Sure.
And I don't care for it. I don't
Okay.
want to be spied on by you. Is that, it's kind of weird not to say that, but you don't seem able to say that.
Sure, I would say don't spy on us. They're going to anyway. And by the way, the Brits are, the Canadians are.
Yeah, they are. We already have laws. Like, you would go to jail if you were caught. Like, what else do you want them to do?
I don't know. I think we kind of allow them in the door.
Maybe,
spy on
but
us.
there's like that's just as hypothetical as saying they spy on us in the first place. I mean, you're probably right. There's probably a certain degree of like spying tolerated by different countries. Like, I'm sure they let
Like
the
Jeffrey
British
Epstein
spy
got
on
a
us
pass,
some. Oh,
right?
absolutely. Yeah.
Like that's the same thing. Like, we should have just killed that guy a long fucking time ago.
I agree. I agree.
Right. So we should just kill the Israel spies and not deal with that shit.
So kill all spies all the time.
Yeah.
I'm sure you're not the first person to suggest that.
I mean, it's pretty simple. I think it's historical, actually.
Yeah, I think you're right. But the point is, it still happens, and it's always happened, even when they were killing all the spies right off the,
I think Tucker has
Immediately.
a great point that you're avoiding.
I'm not avoiding it. I'm saying it's a stupid point. I'm not avoiding anything. I'm saying that's idiotic. You cannot possibly expect countries not to spy on each other.
Okay.
Like, why is that avoiding?
You shouldn't accept it. Like, you're
I'm
just
not
accepting
accepting it. I'm just saying, be realistic. If you catch them, kill them. But be realistic. You're not going to catch everybody.
It's like there's a rat in my house. So instead of trying to trap it, I'm going to let it breed and populate my fucking house.
That's not
Because,
what I'm saying.
the rats aren't going to disappear. So
No.
there's just no point in fighting
What
that battle.
you are saying, sir, is that you could create a hypothetical scenario where you would never get a rat or a mouse or a cockroach in the first place. I am saying that is
I've
impractical.
never had any rats in my house.
Well, there are millions of people who can't say the same.
It's because they live in filth and they accept it.
That's not true. Sometimes bad things
Yeah,
just happen.
It is.
No, it isn't. Sometimes you just have a
Okay.
mouse infestation. Sometimes things just happen. And it's unrealistic to expect that it will never happen. And you're the one always going on about karma, so you better not say that, otherwise Murphy's going to send you a Pied Piper.
Well, then if he does, then I'm going to be like, oh, well, I'm doing something wrong and I need to correct my behavior.
Okay. Well, there you go. I'm just saying it's unrealistic to never expect anything like that to happen, and so it's a dumb question.
I don't think it's dumb.
I mean, obviously, I'm not saying you shouldn't punish them if you catch them. I mean, clearly. And Ted Cruz isn't saying that either. I mean, he's like, yeah, don't spy on us. But That's not. When has that ever helped? It's like saying don't commit murder. People commit murder.
Yeah.
There's nothing you could do about it. There's no universe. There's no world where you could ever avoid committing any and all murder. Like, you can't stop
My
murder.
point is,
You
my
can
point is
disincentivize it, but you can't stop it.
just like Jeffrey Epstein, how we let him do what he was doing instead of just offing the motherfucker. Like, we're projecting this religious dedication towards Israel,
Well, you're
and
assuming...
allowing them to get away with. Now, let me finish my point.
Okay, sorry.
And
Go
allowing
on.
them to get away with everything instead of saying no. That's Tucker's point, and it's simple.
The problem with your analogy is that, first of all, Epstein worked for us. He might have also worked for Israel, but he worked for us. That's why Cash and Bongino are protecting him. He probably,
The
in
bias is irrelevant.
all probability, he worked for us and MI6 and Israel. Like, he was doing that trafficking thing for everybody.
Sure, but the bias is irrelevant.
No,
I'm
your
saying
point is...
we have a bias towards Israel, just like our government had a bias towards Epstein because he had dirt on everybody.
Okay, so you're making the... I guess I'm confused. Are you saying... I thought you were saying we spared Epstein because of Israel. So is that not what you're saying?
No.
Okay.
No, I'm saying Epstein had a form of like religious protection because of all the dirt that he had on people, and Israel has a form of religious protection because of the dirt that they have on people. So we let them get away with shit.
Okay.
Like spying. That's Tucker's point. I find it very simple, and I don't know why you're not getting it.
That's not what he said, though. He said we shouldn't allow people to spy on us ever. He didn't say that we're letting Israel have a pass because they have dirt on us.
But that's why they're in our government. That's why they're in the positions that they're in. Because of their status as a country, or whatever, the religious thing, whatever.
I think the conversation is moving a little bit beyond the nature of whether or not we should tolerate a degree of espionage. It sounds like we're moving on to whether or not Israel has planted people into our government, and I have no idea if that's happened or not.
If they're spying on us, then that's obviously happened.
Not necessarily. I mean, just because you spy on somebody,
What, you
that
think there's a
doesn't
guy in the
mean...
trash can?
Yeah, I mean, I think there's a guy in
Hey,
a trash
Congress,
can.
like-
I think there's a guy sitting in the bushes with a telescope. I think he's hiding in the subway.
That's not how they do it.
Or Brandon Biggs is a spy.
Or Brandon Biggs is a spy. Oh, my
Yeah.
goodness. They got prophets sitting in a sewer going, it's going to happen this way. So,
Yeah. You can continue the video if I want. I
Okay.
guess I'm ranting now.
yeah, it's all right. I think we're going in circles. It's fine.
Like, I don't think.
Well, I'm not for that at all. I think it's disgusting. But we don't
but is it-
actually pay their, we're not their most meaningful sponsor. We're not sort of paying for the operations of the
So
British
I
government.
gotta say, and this is it's weird.
Okay. Before he gets into the next part, because it's pretty contentious, I thought we were going to talk about... Okay, no, so he broke that up. All right. So here's an interesting question, then. There's a difference between tolerating an ally who spies on you and giving that ally money. I'm giving you a layup, Cody. So should we give people money if we know they're spying on us?
No, we should kill them.
Okay.
This
What
is
if
obvious.
What if you're getting an economic benefit from that country? What if they are sharing like intelligence information?
No.
What if it's like they give you some things, but in exchange you allowed a certain degree of duplicity, or like spying in return? Let's say you allow some secrets through, they allow some secrets through. They give you some information, you give them some information. It's all kind of like this covert tit for tat. Should we give them money then?
One time I had a dog that had brain damage, and he would kind of zone out.
Mm-hmm.
And I was afraid he was going to kill my kids, because he was a badass dog, but he was messed up. Did I keep him in my house, or did I kill him?
I'd imagine you killed him.
I killed him.
So you're saying that the threat that they could do more damage prevents like any sort of justification for that kind of tit for tat.
I'm not going to allow that animal that's dangerous in my house.
Okay. See, I would disagree. I would say that governments do have to tolerate a certain degree of exchange, because we're not dealing with animals, we're dealing with people. And people do things for a wide variety of reasons, and people have a wide variety of motivations. It's not just an abstract fear. So I do think you have to you do have to tolerate a certain degree of exchange, let's say, from any country, just in general. And look, if you give
the dog
somebody
was
$3
sweet
billion,
sometimes.
yeah,
He provided a sense of safety and comfort, when he wasn't messed up, and relationship, like he was a good dog.
Well, what if? Sorry, go on.
But that doesn't negate the fact that he would go into like wolf mode and his eyes would black out, and like he wasn't the same dog. You can't allow that in your house. That's a you know what I'm saying?
No, I understand what you're saying, and I think I understand the general tenor of your of your argument. I would also, I don't know if I disagree. I don't think you have a bad point, though. It's certainly not illogical. Like, I think you're all right as far as like thinking it through goes. I just don't know if I agree, because I do think you have to allow a certain amount of trade-off, as it were, even stuff under the table when you have an allyship with anybody. So, for example, like I mentioned the Golden Dome earlier. If you get the Golden Dome, if we get the Golden Dome, that's going to negate any threat from Russia sending a nuclear weapon towards us. It's going to get rid of it if it's successful. Now, we would have Israel's tech to thank for that. If that scenario is true, I mean, I may have my facts wrong, but let's just say hypothetically it's true, that if you could get some sort of like ultimate dome, as it were, to provide missile protection against Russia, but in order to do that, you had to allow Israel to know how you made ballistic missiles. So they know how to make the chips and the guidance systems, let's say, but they don't have the technology for the ballistics. So you let them sneak the technology for the ballistics in exchange for our guys sneaking the guidance system chips. And so you do a trade under the table.
No, you figure it out yourself.
I disagree. I think it's fine to work with other people and make those kinds of trades if you need to.
While they're stabbing you in the back. Yeah.
Well, how do you know they're stabbing you in the back if it's a trade?
Okay, so like Teva Pharmaceuticals, you ever heard of them?
I'm sorry, no. I don't. Say
Teva
that again.
Pharmaceuticals is a pharmaceutical company based out of Israel.
Okay.
And they made and pushed all the propaganda, and they made all the hormone therapies for the trans kid thing.
Ah, okay.
So that's allowing corruption in your country for, I guess, a missile guidance chip. Fuck that.
Again, I would disagree with your analogy, because I would imagine
our next generation. How about that?
I would disagree with your analogy, because I would imagine the CIA and Mossad are in agreement on that endeavor. Again, intelligence agencies, Praetorian guards thrive on destabilizing their countries. Mossad is destabilizing their country. CIA is destabilizing ours. So I don't know if that analogy would hold.
But Mossad,
like these
we're
people,
getting the pharmaceuticals from Israel. We shouldn't allow that.
I agree. I agree with you. I don't think it's right that that's happening. I'm just saying I don't think it was Israel's idea exclusively. I think that's part of that whole depopulation, destabilization thing that's going on with that entire academic class. That's not just an Israel thing.
That's still enough to sever a relationship for me.
Yeah, but we also have to sever our own CIA. That's why I keep saying, and that's why I'm like, we need to get rid of the CIA and the FBI and the NSA, because it's gone too far. I'm talking about like spycraft broadly, but that does not mean what's happening. What I'm talking about hypothetically is actually what's happening. What's actually happening is Mossad and the CIA and the NSA and the FBI have created this weird kind of globalist cabal thing, probably because they're bought off by oligarchs in Europe and probably China. And they're trying to destabilize our populations. They're running all these honeypots. They're doing all this horrible stuff. Like the statecraft that's happening right now is just flat out insane and evil, and the whole dad blame apparatus has to be destroyed. I don't think that's how intelligence is operated throughout its entire history, though. There's always been a degree of spying throughout all of history. But how corrupt the spying gets, how corrupt the espionage gets, that tends to just get worse over time as these institutions bloat. So we need to dismantle our apparatus and destroy what we currently have. That doesn't mean we shouldn't have espionage altogether, and nor does that mean we shouldn't tolerate a certain degree of espionage from other countries. It's just what we have right now is really screwed up, and we need to get rid of it. Now, how you restructure it to correct the problem, I don't know, because the only way I've ever seen it really be throughout history was like Constantine. He just moved the entire capital and didn't even mess with trying to fix the Praetorian Guard. Like he just took the whole leadership and put them in another city, so that whole infrastructure could just sit there and rot in Rome. So I don't know how you would apply that principle here, but you would have to do something like that. You'd have to remove the government from the deep state apparatus in Washington.
Yeah. Yeah.
Rather than banning them directly, because I don't think you could. But anyway.
Sorry. Yeah, it doesn't matter.
Yeah. So anyway, this is politics. But let's go on. I'm trying to get to the lobbying thing, but I think we're about to hit another landmine.
Talking about isolationists, the obsession with Israel. Why is Israel...
Oh, I don't think I'm obsessed with Israel.
Okay, but I think a lot of people are, and like the question, Israel spies on us. Well, so does every other country. Why are you mad at Israel over it?
I guess. Oh, no. I'm hardly the one who's. I've never taken money from the Israel lobby. Have you?
Taken money from the Israel...
From AIPAC.
So AIPAC raises a lot of money for me, but it's actually a misnomer because the people who raise money are individuals. Right. So it's not the PAC itself, but they're individual members who believe in the American-Israeli friendship and relationship.
Is AIPAC a foreign lobby?
No, it's an American lobby. It's the AIPAC stands for the America-Israeli Political Action Committee.
What does it lobby for?
So, to be honest, not a whole lot effectively. Listen, I came into Congress 13 years ago with the stated intention of being the leading defender of Israel in the United States Senate.
Great.
And I've worked every day to do that. AIPAC, a lot of times, AIPAC, I wish were much more effective. Like, there are folks online who are in the fever swamp of terrified of AIPAC, and AIPAC...
I'm not terrified of AIPAC at all. You're the one who seems a little uncomfortable when I'm asking.
No,
this.
not uncomfortable at all.
I'm just asking what AIPAC does. My understanding, having known a lot of people who work at AIPAC, is that it lobbies on behalf of the Israeli government.
Wrong.
Oh, okay.
America has thousands of colleges in...
Okay, we're going to stop there. So they got into the question of lobbying.
He got very uncomfortable with that. He was like, oh, I better watch what I say here because these spies might shoot me.
No, it has nothing to do with spies. It's because Americans do not understand how lobbying works, and lobbying has a bad reputation. That's why he got uncomfortable. There's a couple things that bothered me about that. Number one, I feel like that's just attributing motive. The subtext behind that question is, oh, you only support Israel because AIPAC paid you. That's what I heard. Now, I think he might deny that later in the interview, if I remember correctly. But I think that's what he's really getting at, even though he denied it, because he keeps referring back to it throughout the rest of the interview. But anyway... Let me pause it. Let me give you an analogy. It's like, should we not have the NRA? Should the NRA not exist?
I don't think there's a purpose for the NRA.
Okay, let's say that they were actually good at their job. They effectively lobbied politicians to protect the Second Amendment. Should they exist?
No, because the Second Amendment protects the Second Amendment. The people protect the Second Amendment.
No, the politicians can vote it out at the drop of a hat.
And then we can shoot them with our guns that we have.
Yeah, okay, so you could have a civil war to protect your guns. That's one way to do it. Is that better than lobbying?
Yeah.
Oh, I don't think so, because I think people die.
Yeah, but I mean, it only has to happen every 200 years or so.
No. We've had multiple fights and attempts at gun confiscations within the last century.
Because we have lobbyists.
No, the lobbyists, the NRA in this case, have been fighting against it back when they were good at their job, back when Charlton Heston ran it.
Okay.
My
They
point
banned
is
automatics. We've had several bans on, like, what do you mean?
the NRA sucks now, from what I understand, but there was a time it was effective. The point of my analogy is this:
Against
when
who?
when a politician agrees with you, agrees with a policy, let's say the Second Amendment, then there are lobbying groups that will give you money that for your campaign, so you stay in office and you don't get replaced by somebody who doesn't believe in the Second Amendment. For example, Beto O'Rourke, right? So these groups, AIPAC, the NRA, they might be buying politicians off, but they also keep the politicians that already believe in their policies in. So just because somebody is taking money from a group like AIPAC, that does not mean they are automatically bought off by a government. Fact is, it's attributing motive, and you can't possibly know somebody's motives. Now, that's why lobbying is bad, or at least perceived as such, because it's very arguable that somebody can get bought off. Like, they can just go, tell me my opinion, give me money, and I'll change my opinion to whatever. And you don't want that. But we originally had a defense against that, and that was called the Senate actually being picked by the representatives of the state, so that not all the lobbying was happening on the national level. So you don't get rid of lobbying, you don't outlaw lobbying, because lobbying has existed in every government throughout the history of the world. You can't. It's just like spying. You can't get rid of it. The only question is whether it's going to happen over the table or under the table. What you can do is what our founders did, which is divide the interests. So this is why having like senators chose by our state representatives was so important, because if somebody is expressly loyal to the state and doesn't have to worry about a like national campaign or something like that, and they're being chose by the representatives of a particular area, then it's more likely that, say you're in agriculture and you want to lobby your state senator from Missouri, they're going to be more inclined to listen to that state senator or that state representative from Missouri than they would be like, what is that, Monsanto. They might prioritize being lobbied by an agricultural company out of Missouri rather than Monsanto. Does that make sense? If a senator's being selected by state representatives exclusively, he's going to be more loyal to that state. Therefore, he's going to pay more attention to lobbyists from that state, and you get better state representation rather than just broad national representation.
Okay.
That's my opinion.
All right, what's your point?
My point is lobbying isn't inherently bad, and this question is stupid because it's just attacking Cruz's motives when he can't know Cruz's motives.
I guess you're talking above my head. I don't know.
Well, maybe I'm just being incoherent. So, I think...
Have you ever seen remember those Beto O'Rourke when he was campaigning? Have you ever seen those videos?
I remember something about a skateboard, like he tried to be all hip and crap, but that's all I really remember.
What I remember is a whole bunch of people yelling at him and telling him he was a faggot. Like, the crowds hated him.
Yeah, I knew he wasn't.
Because of his policies.
Mm-hmm.
So why are we even worried about these people?
Beto O'Rourke almost won the first time.
The people, like if you made guns illegal tomorrow, I don't think there would be any issue. Like, how are they going to enforce that? They're going to send the cops out so they can all get shot? I mean, what?
I agree. I don't think it would fly here. I think they know
it's not
it too.
Real. It's all fear-mongering shit. Like,
Yeah, but you don't want to resort to shooting.
No, you don't. But that's why it won't come to that.
That's why organizations like the NRA, who actually rally support for politicians that won't let that crap get through in the first place, is helpful.
Okay, dude. I mean, I don't think that's real. But
anyway, my point is, lobbying it can be good, it can be bad. It's one of those amoral types of things. But this question was just designed to imply that Ted Cruz was bought off. It was meant to go after his motives. That's why I didn't like it.
Okay.
That's my only point.
But do you think Ted Cruz is bought off? I mean,
no, because of where we're going next. He talks about his religious upbringing, which is where we're heading.
But he just admitted that he'd taken money from Israelites.
See, you're not... I just spent like 10 minutes trying to explain why that doesn't matter. That's my point.
I guess
You didn't rebut it. You said, I don't get it. Well, it's very simple. If Ted Cruz believed that we should defend Israel before he took money from AIPAC, then it would make sense that AIPAC would support him.
Okay.
So just because he takes money from AIPAC, that does not automatically mean he's bought off. That's not how lobbying works. It works like that sometimes, but these lobbyists also go after politicians that already agree with them. So, Tucker Carlson's question's a non-starter. Like, it doesn't matter. He's just creating implication and sidelong glances and masking everything with sarcastic laughter. So,
Okay.
yeah. So, let me see if I can find his personal reasons, because he got a lot of crap for this.
I don't believe the personal reasons. That's why I guess.
I know, but do you not think it's possible that you don't believe those personal reasons because you don't think we should be going to Iran in the first place? Do you not think that your opinion...
Oh, no, I've been very anti-Israel for a long time.
Yeah, do you not think that your opinion about Israel is coloring your opinion about Cruz?
Probably.
Yeah, that's why this interview annoys me, because this wasn't... Let me demonstrate my point. If you were to watch this whole interview, I would argue that the only thing you would learn about Iran is its population, 92 million. That's the only thing you would learn from it. You wouldn't learn another blessed thing about Iran. Why? Because this interview is not about Iran at all. It's about Ted Cruz as a person. Tucker Carlson went into that man's office and attacked his character for 2 hours.
I see that.
And I have a real problem with that, because when I was sitting here vacillating about what we should do, I really wanted to hear these two talk, and I really wanted to hear a genuine conversation about Iran so I could try to figure out what I believe. Instead, I got a bunch of insults about Ted Cruz and learned nothing about Iran, which really ticked me off.
Tucker's motivation is for blackballing this Ted Cruz.
He wants to show those dirty neocons what for, because people can't just be wrong. They have to be bad. That's what it is. Ted Cruz is a warmonger. It's an ad hominem. People, when they don't understand things super well, they'll just attack people's character. And they try to rely on the attack on the character. No, I think Tucker Carlson went in there meaning to do an assassination attempt on Cruz as far as like his character goes. Why? Because that makes the whole anti going into Iran thing stronger. Like the no war prompt thing stronger. It's like, we can't trust these senators because they're just warmongers.
That's true. That's how they make money.
Yeah, well, not everybody agrees with that. Some people are genuinely like, God may want us to help Israel. Like, there are people that are acting. You think it's stupid, but some people believe it. So you have to have a blasted argument. You can't just sit there and go, those people are stupid and evil. And that's why we shouldn't listen to them, because they're stupid and evil. It's like when I sit there and I complain about the CIA for like 3 hours on end, it's not just because I think everybody in the CIA is stupid and evil. I don't believe everybody in the intelligence apparatus is just stupid and evil. Edward Snowden was not stupid and evil. You can't freaking generalize. People have reasons for believing what they believe. And it does no good to look at an opponent and go, you're stupid and evil, just because you don't want to take the argument seriously. You don't want to consider the possibility that maybe, just maybe, God might want us to. I'm not saying he does, but there are some people that are so turned off by that, they won't even consider it. And I'm like, maybe you should entertain them. Just for like 10 minutes.
Silly
just
on his face. I don't know.
I know, but if it's so silly, would it really kill you to listen to their position? Do you have to call them like evil?
I mean, no.
Yeah, so just, like, look, Cody, I love you, but I thought the Flat Earth thing was dumb. There was like a week I was open-minded to it, and then by week 2, I'm like, I gotta argue with this. This is so stupid. But I never thought you were evil. I never thought you were stupid. I never thought you were a bad person. I let the information you presented persuade me. unfortunately, the information sucked, but I tried to, keep an open mind. And that's just the nature of arguing. You don't go after people's temperaments. You don't go after people's motives. You don't do this character assassination stuff. That's why this was gotcha journalism. And
I agree with you that it was.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I guess that's my main point, is that this was just gotcha journalism. And I was personally mad because at the beginning of the week, or right before this came out, actually, no, when this came out, I didn't exactly know what I thought. And I wanted to learn something, and I didn't, because this was just an assault on Ted Cruz.
Yeah.
And it ticked me off, because I don't like not knowing things. I say I don't know all the time, but it annoys me. I don't like vacillating. And I vacillate a lot, which is probably why I'm so neurotic. So, anyway. So, let me see if I can find this moment where he talks about his religious convictions really quick.
Yeah, I guess this part that you're looking for is what I want to hear.
Yeah. He also
his real reasons.
Yeah.
Sorry, go ahead.
He doesn't have a title for it. That's really annoying. Hang on a minute. Let me try something else.
Okay. What are his... This might be a bad way to frame it. What are his reasons for being open to taking money from these people?
So this is a thing. This is a short from Tucker Carlson. I don't know if this is going to have the quote or not, but we'll try it.
Growing up in Sunday school.
All right. Yeah, here we go.
Growing up in Sunday school, I was taught from the Bible, those who bless Israel will be blessed, and those who curse Israel will be cursed. And from my perspective, I want to be on the blessing side of things.
Of those who bless the government of Israel?
Those who bless Israel is what it says. It doesn't say the government of, it says the nation of Israel. So that's in the Bible. As a Christian, I believe that.
Where is that?
I can find it to you. I don't have the scripture off the tip of my... You pull out the phone and use the Google.
It's in Genesis. So you're quoting a Bible phrase. You don't have context for it, and you don't know where in the Bible it is, but that's like your theology? I'm confused. What does that even mean?
Tucker.
I'm a Christian. I want to know what you're talking about.
Okay. Where does my support for Israel come from? Number one, because biblically we're commanded to support Israel. But number two...
Well, hold on.
I'm not holding on.
Hold on. You're a senator, and now you're throwing out theology, and I am a Christian, and I am allowed to weigh in on this. We are commanded as Christians to support the government of Israel?
We are commanded to support Israel. And what
does that mean, Israel?
We're told those who bless Israel will be blessed.
But what... Hold on. Define Israel. This is important. Are you kidding? This is a majority Christian country.
Define Israel? Do you not know what Israel is? That would be the country you've asked 49 questions about.
So that's what Genesis, that's what God is talking about.
The nation of Israel, yes.
So is that the current borders, the current leadership? He's talking about the political entity called Israel?
He's talking about the nation of Israel. Yeah, nations exist, and he's discussing a nation. A nation was the people of Israel.
Is the nation
They're the descendants
God's
of
referring
Abraham.
to in Genesis, is that the same as the country run by Benjamin Netanyahu right now?
Yes.
Okay.
I love that. That's funny.
Well, I think the thing that annoyed me about it was Tucker acting like he didn't know what Ted Cruz was talking about. I grew up hearing that interpretation of that passage my whole life.
Right. It's propaganda.
You could... Yes, but Tucker Carlson was kind of, in my opinion, implying that Ted Cruz was adding that ad hoc. Like it was just some ad hoc thing to throw the Bible at people, saying you should support Israel because of the Bible. I'm like, no, he wasn't. What did he say at the beginning of the comment? When I was in Sunday school, I was taught. Well, so was I. Everybody was taught that. So why is he acting like he has no idea what Ted Cruz is even talking about?
Because he's not defining what he's talking about.
He's saying what he personally believed.
There was no Israel as we know of it in Genesis. That's not a real thing. So Israel must be a different description.
First of all, you're wanting to get into the theological aspect of it, which I will answer, and I think I answered earlier on. This is about the Abrahamic covenant. Israel, in the context of the Abrahamic covenant, means the nation of, not necessarily the government, but the people. So the race, if you prefer, of Israel. Those who bless the race of Israel will be blessed. Those who curse the race of Israel will be cursed. That's the idea of it within the context of the Abrahamic covenant, in my opinion. But that's not the point. The point of again, it goes back to attributing motive to Ted Cruz, like he's just weaponizing the Bible. That's not what he was doing. I was taught that. Trevor was taught that. You could go to TBN. I'm pretty sure you were taught that.
I was taught that.
Yeah, everybody I have ever met was taught that.
So we should just believe it.
No, I'm just saying it's not a new idea. And he was acting,
Tucker's
in my
just
opinion,
pointing
like it
out-
was some weird thing he'd never heard of.
No, he's pointing out that Ted Cruz is saying something that's not. He doesn't actually have a description for Israel. He's just he's referring back to his programming from childhood.
I disagree.
He's
If
like-
you look at, if
He is.
he look at, what are you taught when he goes, what are you talking about? This is important, blah, 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 blah. He's implying,
Define Israel.
I felt like he was implying that Ted Cruz didn't know what he was saying. And that annoyed me.
No.
Now, as to the argument itself, I think we could argue about whether or not supporting Israel means supporting the government. And I think it's a fair criticism. I don't know if that interpretation is right now that I'm older. But this is one of my
Right,
vacillation
That's what
points.
Tucker's just pointing out a perspective. He's like, hey, dude, like your description of Israel is from your childhood. It's programming.
Okay. Well,
right?
maybe I'm
And
being
so
too hard
your
on him.
description of Israel is the borders that were established in 1950. That's dumb. You can't say that. That wasn't in Genesis. That's all he's saying.
Okay. Maybe. Okay. As far from the theological standpoint, you are right about the borders. But the people of Israel are still in that country. And there are still people.
Allegedly,
For all we know,
there's
the
no
people
pictures
of
Jews in Genesis.
For all we know, the people of Israel are in that country. We have no information that I'm aware of indicating they would be anybody else or be anywhere else. So for all we know, and here's more to the point, for all the Arabs know, the Jewish people, the majority, a lot of them, are in Israel. And we, being judged by the information that we know, have an obligation to defend the people. Now,
All people.
we will be blessed if we bless Israel, the people, meaning the people. So again, that doesn't necessarily mean you have to support Netanyahu blindly or the government of Israel blindly or Mossad or whatever. You don't have to agree with everything that Israel does. I don't think anybody's saying that. But I will say this, maybe I am wrong, and maybe my blood pressure was up so high at this point in the interview that I thought Tucker Carlson was inferring, like attacking Ted Cruz's motives again. I could be wrong. But at the time, I felt like he was going after his motives, and I thought that it was disingenuous because I know everybody here was taught that. Again, might not be correct, but everybody was taught that. And so to pretend like it's a new idea that Ted Cruz is weaponizing the Bible. Like Alex Jones, not too long ago, had this headline like, Ted Cruz says we should worship the state of Israel. It's not what he was saying. So it's just, I felt like they were coloring this in a disingenuous way. So like look at this headline here.
Like,
Look at this
hey,
headline
man,
here.
define what you're saying, because I don't think you know what you're saying. So define it.
Maybe, but look at his headline. Ted Cruz uses the Bible to justify Israel support. That's the kind of headline that creates this impression that he's just weaponizing it. That's inferring motive.
That's fair. The headline is a little salacious.
Yeah, it's salacious. That's inferring motive. That's why I'm like annoyed. I'm like, that's not what he was doing. We were all taught that.
Yeah.
And so I was ticked off about it. I don't like the character assassinations. Look, the Iranian question and whether or not we should support Israel and what does it mean to support Israel, that's all hard stuff. Like that's not easy. But this whole freaking going after people's motives and stuff is not freaking helpful.
I don't know. I think it is, because like every time my character's been assassinated, like as long as I don't double down, I grow from it.
What if you're falsely accused?
Then you have nothing to worry about.
Yeah, but everybody starts believing that false accusation about you. And they start getting more focused on the false accusation about you than the argument at hand.
Okay.
Like if you're
Tell the
trying to
truth.
if you're trying to make your case and everybody's going, well, who cares what you say? You're paid off by AIPAC. Well, it just makes it harder for people to hear what you're saying. They use the motive stuff, which I think is a logical fallacy, to basically like dodge the debate itself. I just don't think you should infer motive during a debate. I don't think it's productive.
Yeah, maybe. I don't know.
So it annoyed me. That's where I'm at. That's why my blood pressure was up, and that's why I yelled like a loon at poor Trevor yesterday. So anyway, that's all I had on this.
Trevor? Trevor doesn't even say anything.
Yeah, Trevor,
I
say
like
stuff.
it.
Okay, give
What
us
do you
your
want me to say?
opinion. Your opinion. What do you think?
My opinion?
Yeah.
I don't like either one of them.
What do you think then?
I don't think that's the problem.
Yes, you are. You are an intelligent man, and you're smarter than you let on.
If I was to watch that video, which I would have shut it off pretty early because they just sounded like they were arguing to me.
Mm-hmm.
And I usually don't like to listen to two people argue for 2 hours, but are you asking for my opinion on Israel and Iran?
Yes, your thoughts on everything. We want to hear your voice.
General synopsis.
General synopsis.
Right.
Very good.
General synopsis. I think governments are bad. I honestly don't think Israel is just a region. Like, just that, like Cody said, the 1950s. I think
1948 to be exactly.
1948, whatever. I don't think it's just that region. I think it's a kind of a global thing. Israel is its people, and they're basically everywhere. And so to go
So
back
you don't
to
think they're the small hat people?
do what?
You don't think they're the small hat people?
No, I don't think they're just the small hat people. I think some of them are and some of them are not.
Okay.
Just like, anyone who believes Jesus died on the cross will get to heaven. But there are some who don't believe that, but do all the good, and they're not going to heaven. Does that make sense?
Everybody's got their own path, I guess.
Not everyone of Israel is what you mean.
Yeah.
Okay.
So there could be Israelites in Iran, and they're bombing themselves.
See? Look at there, Gary.
Well, boys and girls, we're going to let our sage Trevor have the last word. So,
Well, no, you don't want to do that because then Brandon Biggs won't be Brandon Biggs.
no, you're fine, man. You're fine. That was just a mistake. Don't beat yourself up over that. That was fine. Guys, I think you have heard enough of us arguing and you can make up your own mind. I think we've made our cases fairly well. I wish I'd done better, but, I'm an idiot. So, that's okay. If you are still watching us on the live stream, we're going to go on. We got one more topic. If you're watching this after the fact, guys, thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you in the next video.
Thank you.
We hope you enjoyed this episode of Faith, Fiction, and Folklore. If you did, we would love it if you would subscribe to us on YouTube or follow us on Rumble. We can also be found on X, Instagram, and Facebook. And we are available on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Amazon Music, and iHeartRadio. Thank you again very much for listening, and we'll see you next time.